These are my first impressions on the Winflo 9 by Nike. Throughout the video, I'll give you my thoughts on the shoe so far when wearing them while running, training, and casually. The Winflo 9 released on the Nike US website at some point in June. The shoe retails for $100 US, which is $10 more expensive than the Winflo 8, and I did get these in US size 11, which is true to size for me. This 2022 version of the Winflo introduced once again a new upper, but also a new midsole and an overall different aesthetic compared to previous generations. The shoe now has a curvature that creates more of a rocker shape. The midsole has Cushlan Plus, and instead of having two Air Zoom units, it now has a single Nike Dot Weld Air unit. This is a full-length unit that sits right below your foot, providing a highly cushioned and plush underfoot sensation and even a bit of support, especially while running. It's not the softest feeling, but it definitely feels more like walking on air than on a regular Air Zoom unit sitting lower into the midsole. The fact that the unit is not lower into the midsole though means you give up a bit of responsiveness and snappiness out of it, making the foam at the midsole do most of the work. Nike claims that they made the foam at the midsole softer than the last generation, and that is definitely true, but it changes who the shoe is going to be more beneficial for. It gives the shoe a very cushioned feeling, which helps tremendously with impact reduction and also makes the shoes feel lighter, which is always a plus. The foam is not as stable, however, which was something that I really enjoyed on the Winflo 8 and perhaps even the 7. While the Cushlan foam was definitely more rigid, this provided more stability and support from the midsole. Something else that plays a role in this is the rocker design that we see on this Winflo 9. There's more of a curvature from heel to toe that make the transitions of my strides feel smoother, but again, not as stable. My strides also felt pretty comfortable though, thanks to the wider design on the shoe, especially at the instep and toe box. The tongue also played a role in the instep feeling more comfortable, as it provides enough cushion to relieve the pressure from the laces. I wasn't entirely sure about this when I first saw the shoes, as the tongue felt a bit flimsy and without a lot of cushioning, but it turned out not to be a problem. The rest of the upper is comfortable, but it's also where my biggest complaint with the shoe begins. The mesh that they used is thin, flexible, and breathable, and it combines with the lining on the inside of the shoe for a very comfortable experience. The only thing about it is that it doesn't feel that durable. The entire shoe gives me the impression that these might not last as long, primarily due to the quality of the materials. The upper feels like you can rip through it quite easily, and the midsole feels pory and like the foam might start falling apart after a decent amount of use. This wasn't really an issue with the last generation, as the Winflo 8 had this heavy duty feeling with the materials used and the more firm structure at the midsole. I hope that these prove me wrong and they turn out to be durable, because otherwise the $10 price increase isn't really justified by the rest of the features. Moving on to the collar, it felt loose the first couple of times I tried the shoe, and I thought that I'd have to use the extra lace hoops to adjust it, but this didn't happen. The shoes somehow got more secure as I kept wearing them, and they even felt secure while wearing them for training. During my boxing sessions, the shoes stayed locked in and I didn't feel any heel slippage, which was great to be able to keep a good form while punching. Something else that stayed consistent for running and training was the security at the midfoot, thanks to the bands that help adjust the shoe, which were updated from the Flywire cables on the Winflo 8. And again, one of the great things about these is that they are secure in this area, but don't feel too narrow, so it's a great mix of comfort and security. This proved helpful for core exercises, but the lack of stability and support at the midsole was slightly noticeable. This and the curvature of the shoe is also why I didn't try them for other exercises like squats and lunges. It simply felt like the shoe would throw off my form since the heel drop is quite noticeable. This heel drop, wider fit, and softness of the midsole are also noticeable when wearing these casually, which made them quite comfortable for this. Also, the very soft lining on the inside and the thinner upper make these feel pretty lightweight and breathable. And I'm not as hesitant when it comes to durability while wearing these casually, but it's still something to keep in mind. Definitely not a fan of the way they look with jeans and would rather wear them with more athletic outfits. I do believe that these would be great if you're walking around for a few hours, but not necessarily if you're standing for extended periods of time due to the curvature of the shoe. I will keep testing these to see if my doubts about their durability turn out to be true. In the meantime though, make sure you watch the first impressions for the Winflo 8 if you haven't already.